Welcome to this explainer. Today we're demystifying Connecticut's school attendance laws. Because, as we're going to see, attendance is about way more than just showing up. Whether you're a parent, a guardian, or honestly just someone interested in education policy, having a solid grasp on these rules is absolutely vital.
Let's kick things off with a question that honestly might catch you off guard. Can your child be chronically absent without ever actually being considered truant? Well, the answer is a resounding yes, and understanding exactly why that is absolutely critical for your child's success.
Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the attendance law landscape, compare truancy versus chronic absence, look at excused absences and well-being, map out when schools must intervene, explore the shift towards support over punishment, and wrap up with some actionable steps for families.
All right, part 1, the attendance law landscape. Look, missing too much school totally derails learning, right? Which is exactly why Connecticut treats attendance as a strict legal requirement. Parents and guardians carry the legal responsibility here to ensure their school-age kids are attending. But here's the thing. The goal isn't just to play gotcha and catch kids skipping class. The state's whole framework is actually built around early identification and proactive help. It's about noticing those slipping patterns and stepping in to help before those missed days completely derail a student's year.
Moving on to part 2, truancy versus chronic absence.
Now, people toss these two terms around interchangeably all the time, but they are very different beasts. Truancy focuses entirely on unexcused absences. It's essentially a behavioral and legal trigger. Chronic absence, on the other hand, that's a giant academic warning light. It counts every single missed day, whether you had a doctor's note or not. So a student can easily fall way behind academically through chronic absence without ever technically breaking the rules to become a truant. Which brings us to part 3, excused absences and well-being.
So the crucial point here is knowing exactly how different absences get categorized, because every missed day goes into a specific bucket. Under Connecticut law, a student is officially defined as a truant if they hit 4 unexcused absences within a single 30-day month. 4 days! That is a super short window, meaning just one bad bout of the flu with no documentation can immediately trigger that truancy status.
Alternatively, reaching a total of 10 unexcused absences spread out across the entire school year also firmly establishes that exact same truancy status. So, 4 in a month or 10 in a year, that's your truancy baseline.
On the flip side, chronic absence is a much broader metric. It's triggered simply by missing 10% of enrolled days. And get this, it doesn't matter what reason you gave the school. Legally sick? Family event? Just skipping? Doesn't matter. If you miss 10% of the school year, you are chronically absent. Oh, and quick note, you are only considered in attendance if you're present for at least half the regular school day.
This is exactly where families tend to get tripped up. Notice how excused days, disciplinary absences, and mental health days keep you completely safe from being labeled truant. But here is the catch. Every single type of absence absolutely still counts toward chronic absence. A legitimate absence excuses you from discipline, sure, but it does not magically excuse you from the academic reality of missing instruction.
Speaking of mental health, it's actually a pretty cool and surprising fact that Connecticut specifically allows up to 2 mental health wellness days per school year. It really reflects this modern understanding that emotional well-being directly impacts a student's ability to participate in school. Just remember our golden rule here. These days won't make you truant, but they absolutely do count toward that total chronic absence tracker.
Okay, part 4, when schools must intervene. So what actually happens when a student crosses that unexcused absence line and officially becomes truant? Well, the state doesn't just leave this up to chance. They have a highly specific mandate. Connecticut requires a clear 3-step procedure. First, the school identifies the truancy using those 4 or 10-day thresholds we just talked about. Second, they are legally required to hold a mandatory meeting with the parent or guardian within 10 school days of that designation. And third, the goal of this meeting isn't just to scold anyone. It's to sit down, collaboratively identify why the absences are happening, and develop a concrete plan to get the student back on track.
That leads perfectly into part 5, support over punishment.
You know, the whole tone around attendance has completely shifted from decades past. Prior to 2017, truancy and defying school rules were frequently referred straight to juvenile court. Yikes, right? But in 2017, state law officially removed truancy as a reason for juvenile court referral. This was a massive game changer. Today, the heavy focus is entirely on school-based intervention and community agency partnerships. We've moved from a mindset of strict punishment to one of genuine community-based support.
The overarching goal now is for attendance teams to play detective and uncover the real root causes keeping kids out of school. Are there transportation issues, hidden health concerns, family stress? Maybe the child is dealing with bullying or just feeling totally disengaged. By identifying these actual barriers, schools can connect families with local support systems like a youth service bureau to actually solve the problem rather than just penalizing the symptom.
Finally, let's wrap up with Part 6, Action Steps for Families.
All right, so what are your action steps here to ensure you're meeting your legal responsibilities and, more importantly, setting your student up for success? First, track absences early, way before they become a nasty pattern. Second, communicate promptly with your district whenever your child is out. Third, do not just assume a quick phone call legally excuses an absence. Ask specifically if it qualifies as excused under state guidance, and provide the needed documentation. Fourth, lean on those school support services if there are underlying issues going on. And finally, keep a close eye on that 10% chronic absence threshold, not just the truancy rules. Pro tip, by the way, tardiness is handled differently depending on the district, so always check your local policies on late arrivals and early dismissals.
I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative question to kind of evaluate your own family's approach. Are you tracking your child's total missed school days, or just the unexcused ones? Because, as we've learned in this explainer, your child's academic risk really doesn't care whether an absence was excused or not. Missed learning is missed learning. Remember to always check your local district's specific policies to stay perfectly informed. Thanks so much for exploring this with us.